What does it mean to actually participate in the market? A lot of people think that owning a Roth IRA or contributing to your 401k is sufficient enough for participation. A lot of individuals don't recognize that is passive investing. So let's reframe this. What is active and what is passive? According to Investopedia, they are calling active investing someone who makes investments regularly. So, the best way I like to think about it is what is a market participant? Is being active, it's being aware. Market participation is awareness, it's a mentality, it's about ownership, attention to detail, it's about taking your agency back. And why does that even matter at all? Having agency and financial literacy. Um, Having awareness and having your own agency within financial markets brings empowerment. When you when you disengage from financial literacy, you're not you're not only missing out on the gains that you can potentially have within the market, you're missing out on how wealth is generated, the bread and the butter, the recipe of wealth. Uh, you know, Beyond that, why does it matter? Uh, because if you're somebody who wants to take their own sovereignty into their hands and doesn't want to pawn that decision off to a brokerage firm or to your employer who finds a brokerage firm for you, um, you know, that's important. With that said, I just want to be very clear. This isn't about, being a trader. This isn't about looking at charts all day. This is about conscious awareness, and it's about having a plan. It's about being active, making yourself grounded in your decisions, and having a game plan within these markets. And if you are going to dive within these markets, I think it's wise to know who the participants are. According to investor.gov, there's a bunch of market participants. We're going to call them out, and then I'll kind of give you some of the ones that I'm more familiar with. Broker dealers, clearing agencies, credit rating agencies, investment advisors, security exchanges. Beyond that, you got the family offices. You got the investors like myself, the ones who are informed. You have the uninformed investors. Um, there is there is so many different participants who are active in these markets. And my briefing here, my presentation here, is to briefly give you the dissertation between being active in the markets and then actually showing you what that looks like. So let's shift. Of course, you can see, how I have this presented. I have my market analysis. I'm constantly being inundated with different analysis from accounts that I follow on the town square, of which I call X. It is called X. Beyond that, I am using my own market analysis. This is something we call market breadth. Um, there's a bunch of different equities that I follow, but for the sake of time, I would like to show you some of my Bitcoin charts. Long term, this is the market analysis that I've made over Bitcoin. As you can see here on the cursor, this is dating all the way back to 2015, and I've created cycles on Bitcoin, and this gives me an idea of how I want to think about this asset and what kind of trades I want to make on this asset. Beyond that, I'm looking at making intraday trades, not only long-term holds but short-term holds. This goes back to being active in the markets. It goes back to participation. Just to really drive all this home, not everyone needs to be a trader. You don't need to look at markets all day. You don't need to understand what bulging bands are. you don't necessarily need to be, an economist. You just need to be financially literate. You need to have a solid foundation about where your assets are and why they are there. You know, when I think about participation, I think about agency. I think about sovereignty. And I'm somebody who I need to know what's going on and why it's happening. And the idea of giving my wealth to somebody else and them making those decisions for me is just absolutely wild. So, to kind of bring all of this home and to be respectful of everyone's time here, what does it mean to participate? It means showing up, it means being informed, it means being intentional and taking ownership of your money and your future. Again, it means knowing where your money is parked and why it's parked there. The question that I have for each of you is, if you are not where you want to be financially, are you financially literate? And that's a very tough question. It's something that I've had to, contend with myself. As you've seen before from my previous video back on the original, before we did this revision, I started markets in 2020. So, that question is something that I've had to contend with, and it's, again, has had me jump headfirst into these markets. I want to conclude with, you don't need to master everything overnight. You just need financial literacy and conscious awareness. This is what it means to actually participate in the market. And briefly, very briefly, this is what a setup of participation would look like. Thank you very much for y'all's time. I look forward to any kind of constructive criticism, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you very much.